Today, folks, I got a real treat for you. Marcus Jacober. How do you pronounce that?
You can say Jacober, or somebody says Jacober, but whatever floats your boat. Marcus Jacober, or the Deed Hunter per se.
The Deed Hunter.
The Deed Hunter. So I heard the other day you talking shit about me to Ryan Pineda, Mr. Ryan Pineda. So I have to come and check it out.
Talking shit.
I'm just teasing.
I never talk shit. I keep it real in the field.
You were like, have you ever heard about the guy named Deed Hunter? So I was like, what's up, Brad? So I reach out, and I'm here now.
Dude, I'm glad you're here. And I'm sure my listeners are going to be glad you're here because you, my friend, are the real deal. You show people how to make money relatively easily with your deed hunting program.
Well, I like to say simply, when we say easily, sometimes people understand that it's not a lot of work involved, or I don't have to do anything. So there's some level of work involved, but it's a very simple concept.
Yeah, but it's easy.
Yes.
And seeing as how this is my show, I get to determine what we call it.
Well, let's put it
this
way.
I know the program, but before we get started, let me introduce you to the Bomb Squad. Folks, this is Marcus Jacober. Some people call him Jacober, but at the end of the day, he's known better as the Deed Hunter. Now, he's got a huge Brazilian following because you're Portuguese language Brazilian immigrant, and you've done this a lot by helping a lot of people that speak Portuguese how to make a lot of money finding deeds. And we're going to get into that. But you're also starting to show people in the United States. And what was crazy about what you did is anyone can do it, and it is easy. You don't need a bunch of freaking tools. You don't need a degree. You don't need anything. You just need to put in a little time, do a little research. You might need a little bit of money to get started, but not a lot.
No,
and it literally
$50.
And it literally can show people how to make themselves a living under their own terms. I call it laptop lifestyle, which means you can literally make yourself a hell of a living working for yourself. You just need to know how, and that's why I'm excited that you're here. So Bomb Squad, listen up, because Marcos travels the world, shows hundreds and hundreds, and has shown thousands of people how to basically make money buying and selling properties very quickly by going in and ultimately paying the tax liens on them.
Exactly. So I noticed that nowadays people are more focused on the new ways of making money, right? NFTs, crypto, that's all we hear all over social media.
Yeah.
But people has forgotten the two bestest way to invest money in the United States, which is, by the way, 230-year-old strategies, 140-year older than stock market, and that exists and started even before United States was a country. So one of these strategies, you can actually make anywhere from 8 to 50% return on your money, guaranteed by law. As a matter of fact, in my office, I have a safe with right now has about $18,000 in there, and every year I put $2,000 more. And if everybody finds a form of investment that gives more than 25% return per year, it has to say guaranteed by law, and you execute that strategy and you prove it that you've done it, and it says guaranteed by law, you have right now almost $18,000 waiting for you. And on the other hand,
hold on, I don't get what you mean.
What do you mean?
You have $18,000.
I have $18,000 in my safe. Every year I put $2,000 more in there.
Okay.
Right? The bat keeps growing. Up to this point, in the past 14 years, nobody could show any other form of investment that says guaranteed by law that you can make more than 25%.
Why guaranteed by law?
Because one of these strategies that I'm expert says exactly this. You can make anywhere from 8%, depending on which state, all the way to 50%, and there is guaranteed by law. You're going to get that percentage. That's what I'm saying.
But how is it guaranteed by law?
Well, because it's reading into the statute of a lot of about 25% of the counties of the states in United States. We have 3,144 counties in U.S. You can actually lend money to the county, essentially, become the MasterCard, Visa of the government. And the government will guarantee you, 8 to 50% return on your money. It's guaranteed by law because it's written in the statute.
Damn.
That's one way. The other way is, which is half of the other states, you can actually start acquiring pieces of real estate starting with $50. So the cheapest property that I ever bought in my career, I've done over 3,000 deals in my career. Just recently, I bought 1,000 properties with one scoop in Arkansas. I pay on average $350 each, and it's not in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. I'm talking about Benton County. I'm talking about Hot Springs Village. I'm talking about in high-end subdivision. I gave you some properties.
Holiday Island.
Holiday Island, right? So it's not in the middle of nowhere. So the cheapest property I bought I paid $32.81. In my Bass case study, it's a property that I pay $6,342.79 in Montgomery County, Texas, and I sold for $1.5 million.
How long after?
About 2 years, but that's because I decided to hold on to it. But I could have sold, just like that.
Interesting. So I don't understand what the 18,000 in the safe and you add 2,000 every year. What's that got?
Because if you prove to me there is another form of investment out there better than tax liens and is guaranteed by law, you won $18,000. So far, nobody has been able to prove to me there's other investment vehicle out there like tax liens.
I got you. So what you're saying is you have 18,000 in a safe that someone can have.
Yes.
If they can show you an investment that's better than what you do, that pays better than 18 to 50% and is guaranteed by law.
Yes, it has to say guaranteed by law, by the way.
Right. So what you're saying is basically you got a reward if anyone can show you that there's anything better out there.
Exactly. And that's even in my book, by the way.
The book, Eat This, Mr. President, How a Brazilian Immigrant Went from Truck Driver to Millionaire in 4 years. That's your book?
Yes, there's a new book coming out called The Deed Hunter, The Movement. So explain about tax liens and explains about tax deeds and a little bit about my story because, I migrated here in 1998 from Brazil with intention to pursue the American dream. And although I am Brazilian, my life wasn't always a carnival. That's the reason why I came to America. And I had all kinds of jobs, working constructions. I did all kinds of jobs that I can possibly imagine. And I drove, before I became a deed hunter, I drove for a company called FedEx. Have you heard of them?
FedEx.
Yes, I delivered boxes for FedEx for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, now I have a different relationship with FedEx. So instead of delivering boxes, I receive checks in the mail.
So Bomb Squad, pay attention because ultimately what this guy will show people, and what's crazy is you show them for free. You don't even charge them to show them how to do it.
No, and I commend you for take on my offer to come here and add value to all your Bomb Squads. And, I prepare a very nice masterclass for them. There's over 10 hours of content for free. Not just to talk about it, but to show them how to do it.
Show them how to do it step by step. And if people are like, well, show us what? Okay, what he's going to show you, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what he's going to show you basically is how to look up properties that have tax liens in different counties around the United States. They have tax liens, old tax liens, that if you simply pay the tax lien, the property is yours free and clear. And then you turn around and sell those properties for hundreds of dollars more, or I should say percent, meaning you can buy properties for $300, turn around and sell them for $5,000. Yes?
Close. So it's two different concepts, right? So imagine the map of United States and you divide that in half.
Yeah.
So half of the states, they do what we call tax lien certificates, and the other half of the states, they do tax deed. Real quickly, what is a tax lien? So John has a house that's worth $200,000, has a $160,000 mortgage on it, and has a tax lien. It has a tax bill, right? A property tax bill of $2,000. So the county is expecting John to pay that tax every year. And the county is going to wait until the last day of March, generally, for John to make the payment. And the county needs that money to provide all the services to the population: schools, policemen, firefighters, roads, and all that, right? So what happened is when John does not pay the taxes, until the last day of March, the county is going to record a tax lien against the property. The interesting part is, up to this point, the bank has been the first lien holder on that property. It holds a mortgage of $160,000. Because the county registered that tax lien and recorded that tax lien, now the county becomes the first lien holder on that property. How that's possible is because American law is based on the English common law. And in the English common law, the queen and the king has to get paid first. But that does not solve the county problem. The county problem is cash flow. County needs the cash to provide services to the population. Yep. So all those tax liens, they are available for investors like you and me to grab it. So I go, let's say, Waka Waka County. That's my favorite county. I go to Waka Waka County. Waka Waka County pays 25% return per year. And I write a check for $2,000 against John's property. In exchange of that, the county is going to give me a tax lien certificate. The interesting part is now the clock starts ticking. And in every single state, we have what we call redemption period. There is a time frame in which John or the bank or anybody that has financial interest against that property have the opportunity to come forward, pay the taxes, and protect its interest against that property. Yeah. So when that happens, two scenarios. Number one, John comes forward to pay the taxes. The county is going to say, John, you've been late. Enough is enough. Now you owe us $2,000 plus 25%. The county will collect the $2,500. And now, by law, the county has 4 days to send me a check on the mail for $2,500. So I'm going to recoup my $2,000 that I invest. And now I have $500 that I gain in interest. The cool thing is, John doesn't owe me the money when I buy the tax lien. John still owns the county the money, and the county does all the work. The county keeps track of the accountability. If he pays, if he didn't pay, the county sends me the check. Well, what happens if John does not pay the taxes within the 12-month time frame, per se? What's going to happen is you're going to be able, as an investor, to exercise your second right, which is the right of the king, which means is now I can call the county, fill it up an application, and the county will transfer the ownership from John into my name. So now I become the rightful owner of that property that's worth $2,000 that's worth $200,000 for a $2,000 investment.
You still owe the bank?
The bank loses. So any lien that's below the county lien, it's wiped out.
So you basically would get a $200,000 property for $2,000.
I would get a property free and clear for $2,000. That's correct. That's tax liens.
But more than likely, people just pay it.
Yeah, you have. So when you invest in tax liens, you have, I would say, 3 to 7% of chance to get the property. Let me ask a question.
Yeah, but you still get 100% chance of getting 25%
exactly.
return.
But do you think having a chance to 3 to 7% to get in the property, is that high or that's low?
Low.
You think so?
Yeah.
So that means for every 100 tax liens that you buy, you're going to get 3 to 7 houses. How does that sound now?
Sounds pretty good. But even if you don't, you get 25% return on your money guaranteed.
But wait, that's more. What people don't realize, let's say Miami-Dade, for example. Miami-Dade last year offered 97,000 tax liens. Not $97,000, 97,000 tax liens. And the face value goes anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000, okay? every time there is an offer of tax lien, we get 30 to 40% of tax liens that don't get picked up by investors because only 5% of U.S. population knows about tax lien. Are you American?
Yes.
Were you born and raised here?
Yes.
How come you never heard about tax liens and tax deeds?
Well, I have. I've just never slowed down to take a listen.
Yeah, you were part of the field that kind of heard about it, but really understanding how that worked, it's not a lot of people. So in reality, we have a lot of properties, a lot of tax liens, they're leftovers, which means is, let's say Waka Waka, for example. This is so cool. Watch this. So Waka Waka has a 12-month redemption period, right? Which means is we're in 2022. So if I go to the county records in Waka Waka and I locate a tax lien from 2019, it's probably thousands of there. Once I pay that taxes, I can now execute my second right and have the property. I don't even have to wait 12 months. See,
so why aren't we down at the Waka Waka courthouse all day long?
Well, mainly because a lot of people don't know. It's ignorance. There's not a lot of information.
Yeah, but you know. How come you're not down there? Post it up.
I research every month anywhere from 15 to 20,000 properties. So yes, I'm being active there. But the cool thing is, I don't care how much money you have, how much money I have, how much money we all have collectively. We're never going to be able to buy everything that's out there.
Yeah, but for a moment, I don't want to worry about anybody but me. So let's say right now I give you $1 million.
Okay.
And you go down to Waka Waka. You could buy $1 million worth of tax liens right now.
100%. Actually, I don't even have to go. I don't even have to go there.
Okay, but hold on.
All I need is a computer and an internet connection. I can do that online.
Okay, but hold on. So when I say go there, I mean in any form. But you go there, I write a check. Here's $1 million. I get X amount of properties, and now I own the certificate. Now,
well, if you buy the tax lien, you own the certificate. If you buy on the list and the redemption period is already expired, now you literally own all those properties.
Okay, so if I walked in there with $1 million and looked for ones that are already expired, I pay $1 million. Within how long am I going to own all of those homes?
Well, if you bought during the tax lien period, okay, and you still have to wait, let's say we are in 2022, you buy 2021 tax liens, and the redemption period is 12 months, you still have to wait 12 months. Okay. Now, if I locate $1 million worth of tax liens for 2019 or 2020, the redemption period is already expired. Those properties are already mine.
Okay, so I fill out the form and now they're mine, and I can just go sell them free and clear. They're mine.
100%.
So, but the worst case scenario is I pay the $1 million to the county. Mm-hmm. I wait 12 months.
Yes.
Whoever does own the property, they've got the right to pay the taxes and the 25% interest.
100%.
So worst case scenario, a year later, I get $1,250,000 in return.
100%. There's only two scenarios.
So if anybody's sitting there with money in the bank getting freaking 1%, this is the easiest way to make 25% on your money, guaranteed by law.
Exactly.
See, this almost sounds too good to be true.
Well, it doesn't matter how you feel like, Brad, is the law. It's written in the law.
Yeah, see,
and the cool thing is, watch this.
This makes me want to go down to Waka Waka County.
But watch this. But wait, that's more. Where you can find other investment vehicle where you have a $200,000 asset guaranteeing and backing your $200 investment.
Or $2,000.
Oh, $2,000 investment. I'm sorry.
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Again, exactly. I mean, this sounds like the greatest thing ever. That's why I was excited to bring you on because, dude, I showed the Bomb Squad all kinds of good shit. And this is probably one of the best things I think I've shared with them. And because here it is. It's not bullshit. That's the good part. So, by the way, folks, if you guys are already, salivating, you can find this dude at the Deed Hunter BR.
No. Deed Hunter USA, unless they speak Portuguese.
The Deed Hunter
so I have
USA.
To create, because of you, I have to create one for just the English-speaking people. So,
well, yeah, but you're going to get overwhelmed because I got a lot of entrepreneurs that follow me. I got a lot of people that make money, that have money, and they're just listening for opportunities. And when they hear this, they're going to go, "Holy shit, dude!" And your phones are going to blow up.
Yes.
And what's crazy is there's no gimmick, there's no catch. he will
You're
show
dealing with the government, not me.
guys, he will show you step by step how to do it. He does it all day, every day. He's getting wildly popular. He's already in Portuguese,
Yeah, we have a community of 1,000 deed hunters already.
yeah, and they're all freaking running around doing this on a regular basis. But here's what's cool about it. It's almost like panning for gold. Because let's say, for example, a guy like me says, hey, I got extra, let's say 100,000. So I listen to this show. I get a hold of you. I learn what you do. I go down to Waka Waka County, and I'm sure there's 3,100 other ones. It's not just one county.
That's 3,144 counties.
Yeah, so I go to any county. I go down to the county. I do what you tell me to do. I lay out my $100,000 minimum. I'm making 25% on my money, which is better than any savings account in the world. And it's backed by real estate. And it's guaranteed by law. So it's almost, I want to say, impossible to lose.
Well, you could lose.
How?
I'll tell you how. If, let's say, for example, you get so excited and you don't do a research and you buy a tax lien against, let's say, a gas station, right? That's many of them out there. You're like, oh my God, I see this gas station. I always thought about owning one. I'm going to buy this tax lien against this gas station. But what you didn't know is that the reason why they walk away from that gas station is because perhaps one of the fuel tanks has been leaking diesel for the past 10 years. And now you have an EPA lien against that property, and the cleanup bill is $4 million. So guess what? If you don't do your research and you just write a check and buy a tax lien on that gas station, first, nobody's going to pay that tax lien, which means you're never going to get your money back plus the interest. Now, if you exercise the right to become the owner of that property, now you inherited a $4 million problem. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So you could lose money.
How do you do the research?
Well, it's 7 simple steps. And if you want to eliminate 98% of the risk, right? First, you follow the deed hunter method, which is in a masterclass everybody will learn. Second, you stick with residential properties. So if commercial properties is not your thing, you're not investing already in commercial properties and you don't know how to analyze them, stick with residential properties. You're never going to go wrong with those. Otherwise, if you just buy a tax lien without even doing a little bit of research, you have better luck coming here to Vegas and rolling the dice. So you could lose some money, but you can reduce significantly the risk.
If you're not doing research, you can lose.
Yes.
So basically, there's a whole bunch of tax liens, but you got to know which ones to buy.
Yes, 100%.
And you'll teach them how to spot the exact ones to buy.
Well, I prepare for your folks a free masterclass. It's almost 10, 12 hours of content for free. I got out of the training business a long time ago, mainly because they produce only 10% of results. You are in an industry, that only 10% of people get serious about it, right? So it was like, what if I make this free? I can show everybody, and I want them to get their first deal. I want them to buy their first tax lien, and understanding the principles behind it. And when you do that, you can research a piece of property in less than 90 seconds. I did a group test that's so cool with teenagers from 12 to 16-year-old. 100% of those teenagers bought properties. Of course, they bought in their parents' name because legally they cannot sign a piece of, a document. But every teenager did the research and they bought a piece of property. I saw a 12-year-old making $12,000 on her first deal.
Wow.
And meant the world for her mom. Her mom was still cleaning houses, to make a living.
So people want to start doing this, or at least look into it. They go to Deed on Instagram at the Deed Hunter USA.
At the Deed Hunter USA. And if everybody's sending me a direct, I'm going to give you guys a copy of my book that's going to tell you more in details what is tax liens, what is tax deeds, a little bit about my stories, and they're going to be able to enroll on the free Deed Hunter Masterclass.
Dude, I'm looking forward to this only because I could literally hire some people to do the research and literally find nuggets every single day.
Oh, I guarantee you. So there's counties out there, Brad. I'll give you one. For example, you Google Alabama forfeit land. Alabama forfeited land.
Alabama forfeited land.
Yes. And you're going to land into the site of the Alabama Department of Revenue.
Okay.
And you're going to see there all the list of counties in the state of Alabama. You're going to click in Jefferson County, Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
You're going to find, I kid you not, 979 pages of tax liens.
Any of them that are expired and ready to
All
assume?
of them. When reach the Department of Revenue, it's the last resource and it's the last, almost like the last call. The government wants to get rid of those properties. And most people think, well, and by the way, you have about 25 properties per page, so it's almost over 25,000 properties just in one county in Alabama. Okay? But then you might think, okay, Marcos, but why the county does not call a real estate company, let's say Remax or Keller Williams, and sell all those properties, to the at the market price? They can't. It's against the law because of something called conflict of interest. The statute says that the county can only sell the property to the highest bidder. And why nobody knows about this? Because the county is not in the business of selling properties. The county is in the business of collecting taxes. So whoever knows, and few people share that information. And whoever doesn't know, we never know, because there's a private entity that's going to make commission for every property that's sold to actually educate the public. That's why you invest in stocks. Yep. There's Merrill Lynch's, there are Ameritrade, there's a bunch of brokerage firms that make money every time you sell or buy a stock.
Yeah.
That's why stocks become more popular than tax liens, even though tax liens is 140 years older than stock market. Isn't that interesting?
Dude, it makes me want to stop the podcast. Let's go to my computer and let's start buying some shit.
Well, I can definitely show you in 30 seconds how to buy a property for $50.
Because there's people right now with, money in the bank account, and they call me all the time. I mean, I get hit up constantly. Where should I put 10 grand? Where should I put 20 grand? Where should I put 50 grand? And it's like, you're not going to make a shit ton of money when you only invest 10 grand here and there. But in this particular case, even if you just got 25%, that is a damn good return annually.
Yeah, and we were still talking about tax lien. We haven't talked about tax deed yet.
Yeah, we're just talking about liens. But makes me want to stop the podcast, go over here to Jefferson County, and just put $100,000 on some expired liens, and then fill out the paperwork, and bam, I've got $100,000 worth of tax liens that are coming to me, assuming that they're worth more than my $100,000.
Yeah, but you're going to be able to see that. You're going to be able to see that in the research.
Yeah, but hold on. When I do the research and I pull the trigger, those $100,000, whether it's 5 properties or 50 properties or whatever they are, it's, if I do the research correctly, they're guaranteed to be worth far more than my $100,000.
Well,
yes?
Let me ask you a question. The taxes in your home are greater than the value of your home?
No.
There we go. So that's your...
Yeah, that's my point. So taxes are usually a fraction of the property value.
100%.
Even if it's dirt, forget a house.
100%.
So it's almost like, dude, it's like panning for gold, man.
Yes.
In a river that's got a lot of gold in it.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, let's say you don't like real estate. Let's forget about...
Who doesn't like real estate?
Oh, there's people out there, they don't feel comfortable of owning a property in a different city, in a different county, or in a different state, per se. That's a cool way for you to invest your money, because in 97 and 93% of the time, you're going to get the percentage.
Now,
you're going for the percentage.
Is there ever a time you're going to get cracked in the dick with some unexpected fees, such as HOA or assessments?
No, because what happened is, when you buy the lien, you're not buying the property. You're investing against the lien. Now, if you ever become the rightful owner of that property, and if you exercise your second right, then all those obligations are yours, because you now own that property.
What about if they haven't been paid for years? Are you responsible to go back and pay all the fees?
No.
Or just from the day you own it?
Just from the day you own it. Yes.
Dude, it's almost like too good to be true, isn't it?
Well, that's why one of my favorite slogans is "Don't believe me, just watch."
Well, I just like the fact that, you know, you came over here looking, you know, for the American dream, and you stumbled upon it with tax liens. How'd you find tax liens out of all?
It was very
things?
funny because I started investing in real estate in 2000, right after I sold my restaurant. A year and a half after I came to US. That's why I love America so much. I owned my restaurant, and I had about 12 employees. And I kind of got tired with that life. You know, I was like, it's very slavery owning a restaurant, right? So I ended up selling my part of the restaurant, and I moved to Florida, and I ended up working for FedEx. Okay, so I started investing in real estate. I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Right. So now you guys are learning about this smart daddy strategy. Kiyosaki doesn't like when I say that, by the way. So
Why?
You know Robert Kiyosaki?
Yeah.
So you know the answer. So anyways, I started doing real estate like conventional, like everybody else. Cash flow, buying properties, finance, putting people, renting it out, getting the small cash flow. So from 2000 to 2004, you know, on the side of driving a FedEx truck, I had 12 properties. Then one day, I believe it was in a Christmas party, a friend of mine came to me and said, Marcos, you need to read this book that talks about tax liens and tax deeds. So I got the book.
What book was it called?
It called The 16% Solution. The 16% Solution. So I got the book. I don't like to read. Now I read because I know how important it is, but I don't like it. And I would look at the book. There was no pictures on it. I was like, I already know everything that I need to know about real estate because I'm already successful. That was my perspective. Okay. And the dangerous part is sometimes that puts you in a perspective where you shut down your mind and you're not open to new ideas, or at least to explore new ideas. And I parked that book in my office, and that book stood in my office for 5 years. I kept doing what I was doing from 2004 all the way to 2007, 2008. I had 17 properties. Then what happened in 2008?
Boom.
Boom. I lost it all. I was able to salvage one property. I had retired from FedEx. That was 6 months into my retirement. I was doing real estate full time. One of my dreams was to have one of those shows, ATD TV shows, and flip this, flip that. And I thought that my real estate investing career was over because I foreclosed in 16 properties. I had no money. And then one day I was cleaning my office. 5 years later, I clean my office more often than ever, five years, okay? I found the book and I started reading. And I was like, oh my God. Then I went to my county, my own backyard. And then I bought my very first property for, 30 something bucks. And I sold that property for $5,000. I believe it was 6 weeks later. Took 4 weeks to get the deed. Then I put an ad on Craigslist and I sold that property. And then the rest is history.
And you just kept going.
I just kept going.
And how much money have you made doing this?
Well, I bought and sold over 3,000 properties. Recently, I bought 1,000 properties in Arkansas. Just by selling these properties alone, I'm ought to make about $8 million just in this batch. $8 million. So I bought properties for $350 each. So I invest $350,000 each property. I can sell anywhere from $7,000 to $20,000 times 1,000.
How long does it take you to sell them on average?
So I love land. I love land. Okay, mainly because the holding costs are very low, and I do something really cool called owner finance. So let's say I buy a piece of property for $200. And I put an ad on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and sometimes I list an MLS, but I put an ad on those places, and I say, hey, land for sale by owner, give me $500 down and payments of $200 a month. So right off the bat, I got my money back, right? And now I got this small money coming in. Okay, that is the easiest way and the fastest way to sell that type of property. Of course, that each type of property,
because it doesn't matter about their credit, because the property ain't going anywhere.
No. So to me, everybody qualifies. If you're alive, I'll sell the property to you, because if you ended up not paying, I just get the land back and sell to somebody else.
How much work is it to answer the phone and show the property and answer the questions and yak, yak, yak?
Well, I live in Puerto Rico. I moved to Puerto Rico a year and a half ago. I'm able to do all my operations from Puerto Rico. Of course, now I have a big operation. I train about 50 virtual assistants. They do research for me, 24/7. I go through about 20,000 properties per month.
Out of 20,000, how many do you find that are viable? And
About half of them.
so if I were to do it on a smaller scale, and I just do, 100 properties a week, I should be able to find half of them that are purchasable.
Yes, 100%. And if you have a VA, so that's a scale in the business, right? So my VAs, they make $1.50 an hour. Okay, so if you make more than $1.50 an hour,
why do you pay them so much?
If you make more than $1.50 an hour, it doesn't make sense you doing the research. You need to actually learn so you can, train your VA. But then one VA, it's able to go over about 50 to 70 properties a day. So at the end of the week, you have about 500 properties that they research it-ish, and you are able to buy at least 100. So imagine doing that every week. So you actually, with one VA, you have a capability to buy 400 properties a month.
Do you put it into a individual LLC for every piece of property,
No.
or is one LLC
No,
fine?
just one LLC.
So I could put together Brad Land Management Company and
Yes.
buy them all under that.
100%.
And then as the taxes are due and the assessments are due, and who's keeping track of all that if you've got hundreds of pieces of property?
Well, that's going to become a burden for you, I guess, if your strategy is to buy and hold.
Well, it's not necessarily buy and hold, but I mean, you can't sell 1,000 properties tomorrow.
Exactly. But that's when you sell them off, the title company will calculate all the back taxes, all that's due out there, and that's going to come out of your final HUD. Okay? So my goal is to get in and out in 120 days. That's my goal. And in 85% of my properties, that's my exit strategy.
So you're in it for about 3-4 months tops.
That's it.
And I'm sure if someone really found a piece of beautiful property on accident, I mean, because I gotta believe that there's some gems out there.
Oh, there is.
Holy shit! I got that for $9,000 and it's worth $900,000.
Yes.
And why would you sell it if it's going to be worth $9 million in 5 years? Beach property. Is there any beach property like that?
Yes.
You can't tell me that there's
I'm telling you.
Beach towns
I'm telling you.
that have freaking liens.
Last month, I wasn't part of that auction, but I was looking at it. Somebody bought in Collins Avenue, South Beach, Miami, one of those high rise that's worth $1.5 million. Somebody bought that for $350,000 at the tax deed auction.
No, that's a tax deed.
Yes.
There's liens. We were talking about liens.
Oh, there's liens, but remember,
which ones are better?
Well, it depends. I start my career doing tax liens, and then I do more tax deeds now. So only 5% of my portfolio goes to tax liens.
Okay, what are the deeds now?
So the deeds is a little bit different. So let's say instead of you buying the difference between tax liens and tax deeds, when you buy a tax lien, you're not buying the property. You're buying the lien against the property, and the property is a collateral in case they don't pay it. You execute your second right, the property is yours. When on the states that they do tax deed, the county, when John does not pay the taxes in March 31st, the county is going to wait another 12 months. Nothing's going to happen. If John does not pay in the next year, now the county is going to start doing a foreclosure process against the property. It takes about 6 to 7 months, and if they don't pay into then the county is going to offer that property at auction to the highest bidder. Okay, dude, last month, I did an auction in Orange County, Texas. Guess what? It was an online auction. I was the only investor in that auction. I snatched 20 properties for the minimum bid. I invest about $120,000 in all those 20 properties, and I'm off to make, when I sell them all, I'm off to make profit about $325,000. I was the only one.
Why so little?
You think so?
Yeah.
You think that's little?
Yeah, I mean, that's only, 3 times your money.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding, Brad?
No, I mean,
it's so little.
Well, again, I mean, it's a good return. But my point is,
I'll tell you what is the difference. I'll tell you.
I know,
what is the
but
difference.
hold on. You would think that if you bought a tax lien, again, the property's way more valuable. So if you spent $100,000, $120,000 and got property, you'd think those would be worth at least $1 million.
That's correct.
They're only worth $300,000.
Yeah. So
which means it was only like a third of its value.
Yeah, but people that do flips out there, they're happy if they make 15% return on their money.
Oh no, don't get me wrong.
Those are the numbers out there.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, but there's a different look. When you buy properties that have dwelling on it, typically on a typical transaction, you're gonna make anywhere from 100 to 200% return on your money. Okay, if you buy land that's been sitting.
In how long?
Well, I would say historically in 120 days to turn that over.
Okay, so if someone lays out $120,000, within 4 months they should have that money plus its profit back in your bank.
Yes, because
and then
that's
you just repeat that.
That's what's going to take for you to sell that property.
So in a 4 quarters, you should be able to flip that money 4 times. Let's say you started, because I'm just thinking, like, if I'm out there listening to this and I have $50,000. Okay, so I lay out the first $50,000. 4 months later, I get the 50 plus my profit. Let's say I get $100,000 back, which would be beautiful, by the way. Again, 3 times is beautiful, so don't get me wrong. I'm just saying you would think it'd be worth a hell of a lot more. But I lay out my $50,000. 4 months later, I got back 100. I lay out the $100,000. 4 months later, I got back 200. I lay out the $200,000. 4 months later, I got back 400. So literally, I made 8 times my money in 1 year.
Exactly. That's the power of a compounding investment. Now, if you go for those, so 30% of my deals comes from auctions, and 70% of my deals coming from the list, from the struck off list, like this one that I just described to you in Jefferson County in Alabama. Okay, because every time there is a tax deed auction, we have also 30 to 40% of properties that do not get picked up. When the county does not sell a property, it goes to a list. And every county that does tax deed has a list like that. And you can, grab that list. All you have to do, you pay the taxes or you make an offer, and the property is yours.
But you got to do your research first.
Just like tax lien.
Yeah, but that list has the ones that you can buy, but you better do your research before you buy them.
Of course. You're going to find properties in the flood zone. I watched one time. The reason why I start teaching this is because in 2011, I was in Montgomery County, Texas. That's where I started my career. And I watched a lady. She was bidding against a property, and she's going to lose $30,000. So her name is Reina. Now I know her. And I approached her. I said, hey, don't buy that property. She looked Spanish. She didn't speak English. She's from Mexico. And she looked at me. She was pissed because when you go to an auction, it's a very competitive environment, right? And she thought I was telling her not to buy it because I won the property for myself. So the only reason why she never bought that property is because somebody else had more money than she had and knew less than she knew. So she got outbidded. At the end of the auction, she came to me and said, hey, who the fuck are you? Why are you telling me not to buy this property? All in Spanish, okay? And I said, look, I was just want to share with you because this property is in a floodway. So you would never going to be able to build anything on it. And I did my research. And she looked at me like, oh, it looks like you know what you're doing. And she's like, this is the 3rd time I'm here. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I already bought and sold 3 properties, but if I had bought this one, I would lose all my money. And she's like, would you mind teaching me that? I was like, well, I never thought about it, but sure. So she invited 3 other friends, It was Reina, Claudia, Jose Garza, and Jose Hernandez. And I was going to their house, to one of their houses every Saturday to teach them what I knew so far about tax liens and tax deeds. Long story short, Reina now is a millionaire. Jose Garza used to sell carpets. He's a millionaire. Claudia is doing very well. Jose Fernandez is still bus tables in a restaurant because he never done anything with it. As a matter of fact, the guy who gave me the book, I hope he's watching this, he never did one tax lien or one tax deed in his life.
That's nuts. Dude, I'm going to go do one right after this podcast. Because
Isn't that interesting?
Dude, it's crazy. It's like, man, it's like in the next 5 years, you would think that this is going to become the next gold rush.
Oh, let me tell you something.
And here's the crazy part before you do. Everyone's going to think, well, we better hurry because pretty soon everyone's going to do it. Then there won't be anything left. Well, that's not true either. There's how many people getting tax liens and losing properties every year?
So we have every year on the tax deed side, we have every year 1.4 million properties being auctioned just on the tax deed side. And it's funny, I done over 1,300 live auctions in my career. And it's nuts. I hope I can take you to one of the auctions one day. And sometimes you go to a county and you have on this side of the room, you have the bank-owned foreclosure auction. And on this side of the room, same room, you have the tax foreclosure auction. Here, we have 200 investors competing for 20 houses. And over here, we have 200 properties and only 20 investors. Same room. One does not know what they're doing. And sometimes they attend the wrong auction because, and also, I'll give you another example. 2018, I went to LA auction. LA has, I believe, 5-7 million people living in LA. There was 375 properties being auctioned in LA County. There was only 300 investors in that auction on a region of over 5 million people. Out of the 300 investors there, it was only 20 of them bidding. The rest was trying to figure it out how it works because there's no information out there. If you call your local county right now and ask, hey, how does the tax deed auction works? They are trained not to give you information, mainly because they cannot be part of the auction. They're banned from being part of the auction. And also because most people in the county do not know how that works.
So can you do it right here in Clark County?
100%.
So Clark County, Lien County, any county.
Any county you go. So if you want to find information.
So there's kick-ass deals right here in Las Vegas.
100%.
There's kick-ass deals in Orange County,
all
California.
Over.
There's kick-ass deals in Seaside, Florida.
All over.
Nah.
Anywhere there is a property that pay property taxes, I bet you there is a deal in there.
There's a deal.
100%. 100%. And look, I don't want to say that tax liens and tax deeds is better than wholesaling. I don't want to say it's better than flip.
It sounds better.
Well, I don't want to say that.
I'll say it.
you can say it. So,
well, I mean, actually, wholesaling, I take it back. That's pretty slick deal too. That wholesaling, because
yes,
all you got to do is find the deal and be the middleman.
But let me tell you something.
So that's pretty slick too. But this one sounds. But you know what's the difference?
I'll tell you what is the difference.
How many there are?
No, if you got flips, if you got wholesale, any real estate deal starts with what?
Finding it.
The lead.
The lead?
Right? You got to find the lead. You got to have the deal.
Yeah.
Correct?
You got to find it.
So either you're going to put a crazy amount of money in Facebook, YouTube to find the deals through a marketing campaign, or you're going to be leaking at least tens of thousands of envelope every month that cost money as well to produce leads. Correct?
Yep.
Why am I gonna leak envelopes when I can go to any county and there's 20,000 properties right there? All I have to do is research. So if you do wholesale, not only you do all these marketing strategies to generate leads, you still have to analyze the deal. Correct?
Yeah.
Same thing of doing the research.
Do you give everybody the paperwork and the forms and the shit to check and all of that?
Yes. Actually, I create what we call the Deed Hunter method. And if you follow the 7 steps of the Deed Hunter method, not only you're going to find the list, you're going to find the rules of the game, you're going to find when the auction is going to happen. Now you know how to put that through a series of filter. And if that property makes all the way to the step number 7, is a deal.
Buy it. What's number 1?
So number 1 is tax office. So that's where you're going to find all the information about the auction. You're going to find how is the process of buying the property, because every county is different, okay? And that's where you're going to find the list of properties that didn't get sold at auction.
Okay, number 2.
Right? Number 2, once you have the list, you're going to have either the property ID number, legal description, how much the property is owed, or perhaps the address. Now, what you're going to have to do is you go to the appraisal district where you're going to plug that property ID number in, and now you're going to find the information about the property. Is that a lot? Is that a house? How big is the lot? Can I build on it? Can I build?
Is it ever wrong information?
It could have, but what you do...
What if it says it's an acre and it turns out it's a quarter acre?
Well, but here's what you do, and that's part of the Deed Hunter method. Any information that you research, it must be verified in a different website of the county. So you have to cross informations and make sure they're match.
Okay, what's 3?
So number 3, so on the step number 2, you go to the appraisal. Then step 2.1, you go to the GIS map, and now you have a vision of the property. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is step number 3, you're going to locate the address of the property, and you're going to plug that address into the Google Maps. And now you're going to make sure what you're seeing in a GIS map is what you're seeing in the Google Maps. One of the biggest mistakes that any hunter can make is misidentifying the property. So you're looking at this beautiful house, and in reality, you're buying the bench park at the end of the cul-de-sac. You know how I know that?
You've done it.
Because I lost $1,200 in the beginning of my career doing that. So the Deed Hunter method was created based in my experience, based in all the wrong shit that I did to prevent people not to go over, right? So now you have GIS, you have Google Maps. Step number 4, you're going to check for the flood zone. You're going to go to FEMA. You're going to go to flood factor. You're going to make sure that property is not in a floodway. Okay? Now, you passed that. Okay, so now, next step, market value. How much that property is worth? Because now you want to calculate what is your profit? What is your spread on that deal? Okay? Then after you do that, and you can use Zillow, you can use Trulia, you can use MLS if you are a realtor. If you know a realtor, you can ask the realtor to run comps for you, right? Next step, you're going to go to the clerk's office. So tax office gives you the information about the auction and the list of properties. Appraisal gives you the information about the property. What does the clerk's office do?
Liens.
You are able to research the life of the previous owner. And that's very important when you're going to do auctions. Okay, you want to make sure what you're up against. Not that that's matter, because 98% of the liens is going to be wiped out. There's only a couple of kinds of liens that you're still going to have to be responsible for. And usually are the liens generated by the king. Who is the king?
The county.
Yes. You see how interesting it is? The county writes the statute. It says this: fuck everybody else. I want my money. Which means is all the other liens are okay to be wiped out, not the ones that I put into this property. Isn't that interesting?
So like some sort of like environmental liens, or
environmental liens, code enforcement liens, nuance liens, those liens stay. So you got to make sure how much are those.
But even if they're there, if it still makes sense, it still makes sense.
Exactly. So you have to compute those numbers in your spread, because that's going to determine how is your max bid, or how much the max that you're willing to offer on that property.
Yep.
That makes sense?
Yep.
So lien is only bad if you don't have enough profit margin to cover it. Okay? And then the last step, after you do all that, you got to take a photo of the property. You got to make sure you lay your eyes on the property. You should never buy anything that you cannot see it. Well, Marcos, but how do I do that remotely? Well, very simple. You can hire someone to take pictures for you in different states. You got to have boots on the ground. Or you can do just like I did one time. one day I was doing Brevard County, Florida auction because I like to be in the game. Okay, I like to go to auctions. I like to research properties. That's my thing. I love the game so much. A lot of people that teach stuff,
sounds fun.
They don't do it, right? Because they figured out it's easier to tell people what to do than me doing it. But I like to do it. So anyway, I was in Florida, so I was doing the research for Brevard County. It was about 75 properties going to auction. And my VA forgot to put one of the main houses that I wanted in the list of properties that I need to take pictures of it. So I was driving back to Orlando. I was already 1 hour drive back to Orlando. Was almost getting to Orlando. He called me and said, "Hey, you're gonna get mad at me, but we forgot, such and such property." I was like, "Dude, it's already dark. I'm not gonna go back. The auction is tomorrow. There's no way for me to take pictures." So the next morning, I had an idea. I woke up a couple of hours early before the auction, and I call a Uber ride to that location. When the Uber driver arrived, I called him up. I said, "Dude, just kidding. I'm not there. All I need is for you to snap a picture of that property for me, and I'll tip you $10. So he did that, and then I told him, "Say, by the way, I'm buying properties every month in this county. Would you want to be my guy to take pictures from now on for all the properties?"
What do you need the picture for?
Well, you got to make sure the property's there, Brad.
What do you mean the property's there? Of course it's there.
It could be that, not necessarily.
Be a big hole in the ground?
Well, it could be that you're researching a property that on the Google Maps or in the Google Street View, it looks a beautiful house, but the house burned down yesterday. Right? So you got to make sure the property is still there.
But what if it's just a piece of land?
Well, if that's just a piece of land, you got to make sure that what they asking for, the minimum bid, makes sense. So is it different numbers? You're not buying you're buying just the land, not the whole property.
Yeah.
So what if you running your numbers, banking there is a $200,000 property there that now is burned to the ground and there's a bunch of rubber and it's just the land. Well, the land might be value $10K. So it's different numbers, different scenarios.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So you always have to make sure you locate the property, you see the property, and you know the property is there. By doing that, you're going to eliminate 98% of your risk.
So what's the worst situation that's happened to you?
I lost money throughout my career in 3 deals. That's it. And mainly because, there was this one, $1,200 in Maricopa County. So I bought that was a lien that I paid for it. Of course, nobody's going to redeem a lien on a bench park. And then
but it's your bench, isn't it?
Huh?
It's your park.
Yeah, it's my park, but I'm going to continue to pay taxes on something
why
that I
wouldn't
have
someone
no
buy it, like a neighbor or someone that's like, yeah, that property's adjacent to mine. Why wouldn't I just buy that and extend my property?
Yeah, but in
line?
this case, it was like a cul-de-sac. It was a very small bench park. Like they could do nothing with it, right? So I let that. So it was a good tax deduction.
Couldn't you donate it to somebody?
You can. And actually, that's very interesting. I come to find out I have investors that called me up and buy properties from me with the solely purpose of tax write-off that property. It works something like this. So let's say you have a crazy tax bill, okay? And I bought a property for $50. Right? There's a bunch of those out there. But the market value of that property or the assessed value is $3,000, okay? When you buy that piece of property and you donate to a nonprofit, you can actually tax write off $3,000 off your taxes liability.
Because of value.
Because of the value. So I buy, not very properties that don't have a lot of commercial interest or it doesn't make a lot of sense number-wise, only with the purpose of selling to investors that they wanted to have the tax break at the end of the year.
Where does the bomb squad go to get this masterclass?
What do they go to go to masterclass?
Yeah, like everybody listening, I guarantee you 90% are going to want to jump on this and at least investigate. Where do they go? How do they find you?
So first of all, you go to my Instagram, the Deed Hunter USA. You're gonna follow me, of course. It's a bunch of content there. I share all the recordings of all my expeditions looking for properties. That's really fun. That's why I dress up like this. And then I'm going to give you a copy of my book. And they can go to the Lightspeed platform to get the masterclass, which is free, by the way.
It's freaking awesome. I'm looking you up right now. I'm getting you right now, my friend, at the Deed Hunter
USA.
And
if you want to learn this in Spanish and Portuguese, go to Deed Hunter BR. If you
there
want to
you
have
are.
fun.
It's funny.
If it's too simple for you and you want to do Portuguese.
Folks, as of this episode, tape date, he's only got 1,555 followers. Let's go get him to 15,000 followers. Go follow his ass. Even if, excuse me, I got hiccups because I'm chewing Nicorette. Even if you don't do it, go give him a follow. This dude's dropping value like it's going out of style. Hey, Marcos, I'm gonna have you back. We're gonna drop this episode. Your phones are gonna blow up. We're gonna get a bunch of deed hunters out there rocking this thing. I'm gonna be one of them. You guys hit me up. I'm gonna go do this before this even airs. So ask me about it.
It would be cool if you do a Deed Hunter Challenge live, huh?
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get this a lot of attention and blow up. Why? Because, dude, nowadays, like right now, I started a company called Real Financial. Why? Because I discovered selling life insurance to people is very easy. Everybody needs it. It's a couple $100 to protect your family for $500,000 or $1 million should anything happen to you. And nowadays, with the COVID and all the crap, anything could happen. And it's so easy to call leads, sell life insurance, and make yourself $300,000-$400,000 a year. So I started a company doing it. And right now I've got thousands of people being trained and doing it right now. And I thought to myself, dude, this is awesome. I'm showing people how to make $300,000 so they don't have to get a jab if they don't want one. They don't have to freaking, struggle and worry if they're locked up or, in lockdown, because you can use your phone to do that. So realfinancial.com, by the way, if anybody's out there. If you guys have a life insurance license right now, reach out to me. Go to bradlee.com/let's go, and I'll give you probably a better pay plan than you have with your current one. We got the best training. We got the best culture. We got the best leads. So hit me up. But the reason I did that is because, dude, there's people out there struggling. There's single moms that can't
100%.
freaking take care of their kids. This is another one. So I'm going to add this to my arsenal. But see, what I did is I went out and did it first to make sure it was real. Life insurance is real. And a lot of these life insurance companies, they're paying you like 50% commission. Dude, we started 100%.
Wow.
And I'm showing thousands of people how to make $300,000 from a laptop and a cell phone, living life on their terms. And once you start to make $200,000-$300,000 a year, well, now you can invest. Now you can do stuff like deed hunting. Because again, I mean, if someone has no money, you can still do it. It just take you a minute to
100%
increase your bankroll. But what if you're making a couple $100,000 a year, you have a little money left over, and now you put that into freaking deed hunting?
100%.
And I can vouch for Marcos that he's showing people how to do it. I've heard story after story after story. So this isn't something that like, oh, what's the catch? There is no catch. There is no catch. The question is do you want to put enough time in it? And as soon as you put the time in and start understanding how to do it yourself, well, now you freaking hire people, virtual assistants, and you literally
scale the business.
Yeah, you scale the business and you build a little machine where basically you're creating money off your money. 25% a year is fantastic. If someone had $100,000 in savings and they could get $25,000 a year, every 4 years, their money doubles.
Yeah.
Well, dude,
what a bit of a way to build college funds for your kids, if that's what you want to.
Well, not only college funds, but doing this, in the first year goes by, if you only got 25% back. By the way, do all the counties pay 25% or only some?
So no, there's the redemption period, which is the time which you have to wait, and the percentage is determined by state. All the counties have to follow. So you have all the way from 8% on the lower side, which is Colorado, all the way to 50%, which is Texas. Illinois, for example, you can make 18% every 6 months in Illinois.
So 36% a year.
36% a year. If you go to Indiana, they have two types of sale. In one of the sales, they call it special commissioner sale. You can actually make 20% in 4 months.
And do you have all this documented?
Everything is documented. Everything. I have guides. I have maps. In the masterclass, I give all that information away. In the masterclass, I prepare what we call county directory. It's over 3,000 counties out there. And in this directory, you have all the 18,000 websites you need to go to actually do your research.
When is this going to be ready?
When the masterclass is going to be ready? We are
because I want to drop this tomorrow.
We are expect to launching this, I guess, in February.
Well, I'm going to speed that up. We're going to launch. We're going to make sure this drops quicker than later.
Yeah, I'm excited,
folks. At least go hit him up on Instagram. Marcos, appreciate you coming in, folks. Let me tell you something. Don't ever forget who's bringing you the best shit on earth, showing you how to get out of the rat race, showing you how to make that money. Not just talk about it, but be about it. Until next time, keep it real.
Dropping bombs with the real Bradley. Subscribe now.